I wouldn't call what I'm doing right now employment, because I don't know how these media guys make money out of this stuff. I did a combination of twisty work, which is bloody scary in a car that big with that much horsepower, just let me tell you.
That you don't own.
That's about 270 grand and a horrendous excess as well. Four-wheel driving was really the only type of motoring enthusiasm that I hadn't sort of dived into, and that was part of the reason why I was so excited to do it.
The Outer Side is proudly supported by Tyre Gear. Head to www.tyregear.com to explore the wide range of high-quality camping essentials, including guy ropes, screw-in tent pegs, tie-downs, and heaps more. Tyre Gear. Adventure secured. Dog and Gun Coffee. Check out www.dogandguncoffee.com to grab yourself some bloody good coffee ready for adventure.
G'day and welcome to The Outer Side. I'm Tony, and in this episode I'm joined by Kalen Ziflian. Welcome to the show, mate.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
Before we get started, we're going to go with the Fast Five. So I'm going to ask you 5 questions. You're going to answer with the first thing that comes to mind.
Here we go.
What is your dream car?
355 Ferrari, gated 6-speed, Rosso Corsa outside. I'm open to a Targa, tan interior.
Oh man, that brings back some memories. The 355, I remember that as a kid being like, yeah, that's the car.
Yeah.
That's the car.
It's the last real Ferrari in my mind, so yeah.
Well, I love the level of specific detail that you provided there. It means you've thought about it.
I do a lot of thinking about this sort of stuff, Tony.
Yeah, I also think about things that I can't afford very often.
Dreaming.
Best movie of all time?
Oh, God. I'm a big fan of those old mafia movies, mate, so I'm going to have to say Godfather. Yeah, yep. Godfather 2, specifically. See? I even think about my movies, mate.
Classic. What is the worst car you've ever driven?
Oh. So I've driven a lot over the last 3 years. MG5.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
Is that like one of the modern MGs?
It's definitely one of the modern MGs. So it's like the Temu version of a Audi A6, but half the size. It has the mechanical prowess of a KA laser. Bounces around like the shocks are empty. Absolutely terrible car. And I had it twice. I reviewed one once, and then the other time we went on a family trip up to Noosa, and I ended up in one as a rental. Terrible car.
Yep. I'm just thinking about the potential of any car brand wanting to be associated with me in any form after the amount of utter I and my guests have talked about various car brands, but I love it. Keep it going. Favorite band or music artist?
Mate, my music taste is pretty eclectic, so I find it really hard to put a finger on just one. You know, I could go from high energy dance music to 80s and 90s rap music to Taylor Swift, depending on whether my daughters are in the car. So I couldn't put it on one. If I was driving alone at night trying to clear my head, it'd probably be high energy dance music, but I can't put my finger on one artist. So
I like it. And there's I know that you're a bit of a street car guy, and I know in the 90s and the early 2000s in the street car scene in Sydney,
that was it, right? It was heavy back then, yeah.
Skits mix, mate.
Yeah, that's...
And now we're really showing our age.
From the past, mate, that's it, yeah.
And the most important question of the Fast Five, what would you eat for your last meal?
I'm a bit of a carnivore at heart, mate, so let's get really specific. So it'd be a steak, hot English mustard, maybe just a little bit of garden salad on the side.
Yeah, hot English mustard, underrated, I feel.
Heavily underrated. Horseradish is good too, but you can't beat hot English.
The horseradish cream?
Yep.
People think I'm weird for eating that.
Really? That's it?
Yeah.
Mate,
mostly my wife, when I say people.
Oh, well.
Very good. Well, Kal, your, I guess, current public persona is Kal the Car Guy.
Yep.
But I want to go a little bit further back than that before we get into what you're doing now.
Yep.
Where did this love of cars begin for you?
Oh, it's a funny story, mate, because the first memories that are portrayed to me from my folks about cars for me was they'd find me in the garage panel beating, as I'd call it, a Hot Wheels car with a ball peen hammer. So, Mum used to buy me matchboxes and stuff like that. I think they regretted it later on in life, how hard I got into cars. But so it went from toys later on in life to, and it was them encouraging me to read, supposedly. But from 12, they'd buy me car magazines.
Yeah.
And, Wheels, Motor, Street Machine, later on Hot Fours, Fast Fours. But for me, it was the ultimate escape to just read about cars, So, really young age, playing with toys. It then turned into that fascination that comes from, going to the back of a Wheels or a Motor magazine and looking at the stats. And much like I said before with the 355, all those stats would have come from me reading that stuff, So look, it's always been a part of me. It's it helped me find calm at points in life as well.
Yep.
Even before I could drive. I mean, the ultimate calm behind the wheel for me, or the ultimate calm for me is time behind the wheel, regardless of what I'm doing. But even before I could drive, it was that fascination, the fantasy of driving and that sort of thing. So it's always been a part of me, regardless of whether it's a street car, whether it's a motorcycle, and then later on in life with off-roading and four-wheel driving. So it's just always been a part of me.
So good, man. Now, I don't want to go straight into something political, but something that you just said really triggered a thought in my head. So, like you, I was a fiend for anything automotive throughout my life, but for me, it was always car magazines. So, Street Machine, Hot Fours, Zoom, you name it, right? Street Commodores. Anyone under the age of like 35 is going to go, what are you talking about?
What are you guys talking about?
But I was just thinking, for a youngster now, particularly with the social media ban coming in, because I know for the majority of my mates that used to consume magazines, we now consume automotive content via social media.
Yep.
How are those kids going to be exposed to that stuff if they can't see it online and there's very few magazines?
Yeah.
I wonder what that next generation will look like.
That's a really, really good point, because if I just go back for a second to talk about that calm that I alluded to. So, growing up, school was a bit of a challenge for me with bullying and stuff like that. So that time, reading a magazine, when I say calm, it really was, mate, because it was an escape. So, and that's why, what you're saying resonates really hard, because you're right. If a child is driven by that motoring side, how would they find that calm if they can't access things online? Because you're right, there's no print anymore. It's an interesting question, but also, I wonder how many youngsters, unless they are within families or have an uncle or a cousin or someone like that they look at and say, oh man, he's got a mad car, maybe I should, I want to spend time with him, and which is kind of how it sort of evolved for me to an extent as well, having uncles around me that had cool cars. So, mate, that's a really interesting observation. I don't know the answer, but I think that unless you are involved in circles or have that the passion in the blood at a family level, you're probably not going to get exposed to that sort of stuff.
You just don't even know that it exists.
You don't know it exists, and you're salivating over a Tesla.
Yeah,
so,
it's just what you see on the street.
That's right. Yeah.
It really just struck me when you were saying that, because magazines were such a huge part of my learning about cars, and I would read them cover to cover, and I had subscriptions. Multiple times. And it was only, probably 10 years ago, I decided that I was sick of transporting copious numbers of magazines between houses every time I moved, and I gave them all away. I gave them all away. I had every edition of Street Commodores ever made, and I don't know, 15 years worth of Street Machine, Hot Fours, Zoom, Boost, even some Performance Garage magazines. They're probably worth money. I don't know. Yeah. I just gave them to someone who was
going to enjoy it.
Yeah. But I feel like nothing's replaced the magazines for me.
Nah, I don't think. I often think about that. But also, you know what? I'll put my hand up and say I'll walk past a magazine stand, Woolies or whatever, and you'll see Street Machine there, and you'll see Wheels. Unfortunately, Motor's gone, along with a lot of the titles that we're talking about. But do you pick it up?
It's in your phone, mate. It's just in your pocket. It's this constant stream of content delivered to you, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't. I might pick it up for a browse if I have 2 seconds, which I'll never do. But I think that nothing has been able to replace it, because even the content within is different. Like, when's the last time you saw, one of the things I really enjoyed watching or reading in a magazine was those real feature type articles. You're reading a feature and they've gone on a road trip and they've done something, or they've brought another car along, and it's really rich and deep, and it was a pleasure to read. And you read some of this new stuff today, and it's what are the features of a Ford Ranger? And it's all SEO. It's built around SEO, which is for these organisations to exist. They have they've got to do that, mate. Right? So, but yeah, I don't think it's replaced it for a few reasons. There's the tactile bit.
Yeah.
Right. There's the tactile bit. The stack of magazines near the toilet. I'm probably saying a little bit too much here, but do you know what I mean?
Checks out.
And then also the content within, I think, has changed as well, because it costs money to do that sort of
quality photography, professional photographers,
Yeah.
professional writers, and I think it's the art form of the written word that we're kind of losing. I know I'm getting real deep here, but it's something that I think about all the time, because you can go find mad cars on Instagram and look at some photos of them, and not saying that there aren't high quality photographers out there anymore, but where do you go and read a full article about a build and the bloke in the shed with his dad building the car, and we got this thing out of a paddock, and all that sort of stuff? I feel like maybe everything's too quick.
Yep.
Right? Everything's short little bite-sized bits. On the flip side of that, though, there's way better video content than we had back then.
Absolutely, no doubt. No doubt.
Just YouTube. I mean, I love YouTube. Anyone that listens to this show would know that I'm a frother for YouTube, and just having endless content for whatever you're interested in.
Yep.
Any topic.
Yep. It's all at your fingertips.
Yeah. But I wonder if the quality suffers as a result.
Well, look, I think it has. I think it has, because I think in this modern age in the media world, it's all about when's the next bit going out, so you can keep your engagement up. But, yeah. Look, I think it is a bit of a lost art, and that world's gone, unfortunately.
Interestingly, I've spent a bit of time in America over the last 12 months, and the magazine scene, I don't know if that's the right word, overlanding magazines are still a thing. And there's a number of them that are really high quality production. And as you said, the tactile, like nice stock, the paper feels good, great imagery, really well written articles. And I find it so bizarre that it's still a thing over there. But I suppose because they've got such a large population, they only need a small percentage of that population to care about magazines, and it's still a viable business.
Yeah, definitely, mate.
Where we suffer here, because...
Definitely. Well, I mean, our total population is under 10% of what America is, really.
We're Texas.
Yeah, well, that's right.
Our whole country is...
That's right. That's right. So, yeah, no, I'm not surprised that it goes well over there, but yeah, I think it's just a game of numbers, isn't it?
I'd love to see a resurgence, but I also know that it will never happen because it's just not commercially viable, right?
No, it's unfortunate. Look, there are a couple of, call them coffee table books, because it's not a magazine as you know it, or as we knew it, sort of a monthly thing. Like there's quarterlies, and the names escape me, but I get served it once in a while, where it's like a quarterly that comes out, and so I think that there's a few out there. I reckon there's space for someone to do something of that nature in the four-wheel drive scene, because I still believe people will take an interest in picking it up and reading it that way, especially if the articles within are of that standard from
quality
back in the day. Because you can't doing a 3,000 word article online. I just think it's not just cost prohibitive, but is your attention held? No. When you're looking at a screen this big, 3,000 words is like 78 swipes. It's not the same as a 4 or 5 page feature in an A4 size magazine. So I don't know. I think we might have thought of an idea there, mate.
I'll add that to the list of things that would be a great idea if I had any time and funding. So anyway, sorry for that massive diversion down memory lane there.
Good.
So where did the intersection occur of your love of cars becoming your employment? How did you end up getting on the path that you're on now?
So in terms of the content creation?
All of it, mate. So from panel beating Matchbox cars in your parents' shed, and you mentioned uncles and you were around cars. But
Yep.
at what point did you decide, hey, I could turn this into a career?
Yep, yep. So look, it's interesting because that bashing cars in the garage somehow turned into insurance, which was
Look, it kind of...
it kind of works. It kind of works. So look, I sort of found myself in insurance for, I was going to say a little while, but if I reflect back, it's 25 years. It's funny how time flies like that.
Minute.
Which kind of, it's funny because I don't think anyone really wants to be, working in insurance. I think it's just something that sort of landed in my lap, and it's funny because it does have a parallel to motoring in a way, if you're looking at it that way, right? So in my mind, it was always, and I was always in car insurance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and that sort of made it relevant in architecting and selling car insurance products was really what I did over that 25 years. And I got the good fortune of working with businesses like Shannon's early in the piece and architecting products for them, and that was, that's the ultimate, right? So if you're wanting to do something that coincides with your love of cars in that insurance space, you're working with these bespoke brands that are taking care of enthusiast people. So early in the piece it was Shannon's, did a little bit with APR and CIL and stuff like that too, which was interesting. And then my most recent paid employment was for Club 4x4. So and that for me was the ultimate convergence, where you're bringing together I think at the time it would have been close to 20 years of insurance experience with a passion. Now, I grew up camping, but we camped out of my dad's HZ panel van. HZ, I think it was HZ. Yep.
Man.
So we never had a four-wheel drive, but we grew up camping. So for me, it was, well, Kal, how about you come and do this thing? We've got this great idea. And I was like, well, off-roading is never really something that I've dived into, but there's parallels. So diving into that was the ultimate sort of end state for me in terms of going from a vanilla insurance role into building a brand. For me, that was, how do we build an insurance brand that's not viewed as an insurance brand, because no one likes insurance, right?
No.
No one likes insurance. So that was 7 years at Club. So I wrote the PDS, I was the first employee, etc., and that turned into what I think was a tremendous success. And if my goal was for it to be authentic and legitimate and really not seen as an insurance brand, I think we got pretty close to that. So I was pretty happy.
Well, I'm a customer.
Oh, awesome, mate. Awesome. No, that's good. That's good.
An ex-Shannon's customer, because they wouldn't come to the party.
Yep.
So I went to Club and they've been incredible. Yeah, honestly, they've been incredible for me.
That's good.
With a car like mine, with my 80 series, that's got the definition of overcapitalisation.
Yep.
Trying to get an insurer to insure that vehicle for even a fraction of what its replacement cost is really challenging. But they've been really good. So you were around for the start of Club?
I was the first employee.
So where did the idea come from? What led up to that, I suppose?
Yeah, look, so the story goes, it was Pat, so Pat Callan, and had another friend who was an insurance bloke, and the idea was, well, no one's really doing anything for four-wheel drivers. What can we do? So that's where the idea emanated, and then there was involvement from an insurer, and then those guys who, were the founders really sort of brought me in as the guy to do the hard work, basically.
So you've got to have an underwriter, so a bigger corporation that
So
you've got stumps up the cash, right?
Well, yeah. Look, I think it's more importantly to have an agency, an insurance agency, become an agent for an insurer. All right. So unless you are going to be an insurer, which requires insanely deep pockets and a whole raft of legislation that legislative requirements that you need to abide by, you become an agency for an insurer. So so we had the underwriter that was ready to give us the capacity to do it. We obviously had Pat involved there to help with bringing it to life, and then Kal as the boots on the ground to bring it all to life. So it was a bloody exciting journey.
That's pretty cool, eh?
Yeah, a lot of great memories, mate. So left that about 3 years ago, and one of the last things I actually did for Club was go to the launch of the current Raptor.
Yeah.
which was a really nice way to wind it all out. And I recall meeting a whole bunch of journos and even people that I'd read. I was like, man, what am I doing here? It was really odd. But did the launch and bumped into someone who was a contributor for a website called Exhaust Notes Australia. And I was like, man, how do you get in on that caper? And he goes, mate, can you write? I said, yeah, I've been writing for my current business for the last 5 years and I quite enjoy it. He goes, well, I'll introduce you to the guy that owns the website. So, a week or two later, I spoke to the bloke that owns Exhaust Notes Australia and he asked some questions and he goes, all right, he goes, let me get you in a car and we'll see how you go. So for the last 3 years, I have been living the dream, which is, and you heard the whole story now, right? So from those times when I'm reading the magazine end to end, here I am, an ex-insurance bloke that loves cars, driving a car around for a week or two or whatever it is, and then providing an opinion. So, if I talk about passion projects, Jesus Christ, this is, literally living the dream. So, that's what I've been doing over the last 3 years. So contributing to Exhaust Notes, and recently I launched my own website because I always had the socials and they were doing quite well. And I thought, well, I've got all these ideas of things that I'd like to write about that may or may not be suitable, in this space. Why don't you just create your own? And for the last 6 months, I've been still contributing to other entities, but doing my own, which has been kind of cool because you're not really limited to what you can write about or how you can position things and that sort of thing. So yeah, mate, look, that's kind of in a nutshell. I wouldn't call what I'm doing right now employment because I don't know how these media guys make money out of this stuff, but it's certainly been a really cool journey and something that I've really enjoyed, and I'd love to be able to continue down the path. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely, man. And for a car enthusiast, what could be better than getting the keys to all manner of different vehicles and putting them through their paces and then providing your opinion on them?
Yeah.
We're about to get a number of bush turkeys entering the chat.
I might ask them a few questions.
Yeah, I don't know if they'd have much to say of any value. So, I mean, what would you call yourself now? Would you call yourself a motoring journalist? Would you call yourself a car reviewer? What are you, Kal?
Mate, it's hard. My missus gives it to me once in a while and says, look at the influencer. It's a running joke, and now the kids do it too. Look, mate, I don't know. For me, the writing is the passion, right? Am I a journo? Mate, I know some incredible journalists that I've been fortunate enough to meet during this journey. And like I said, some of them are, blokes that I've been reading articles of for, such a long time. Do I put myself amongst them? No, God no, mate. God no. Mate, I'm just a bloke that's having a bloody good time. Yeah. That's how I'm going to put it, and feel very, very fortunate to have the space and the time to be able to do it, So yeah, that doesn't answer your question.
It does. It absolutely does. What are you? You're a bloke who's passionate about cars and you want to share that passion, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I wonder how much of that is back to your formative years of consuming so much of that written word, reading all of the magazines and that desire to consume content, and now you're creating it.
No doubt, mate. No doubt.
And maybe influencing people along the way. So maybe you are an influencer. It's funny how much of a dirty word that's become. Hey? As soon as someone gets called an influencer, they get their back up.
Yeah, look, you know what? For me, it's not so much that I take offence to it, because if you're providing an opinion, you are influencing someone. Whether it's a review on a car that you've written, whether it's a short reel that you might have created about something, or if you're talking about something that you're passionate about, regardless of what it's about, right? There's influence in everything we do. So it's not from a place of, I don't want to be known as an influencer. I don't really care what anyone thinks. But I just think that there's influencers that are doing crazy, amazing work. There's journos that are doing crazy, amazing work. I just don't see myself as either one of those. I'm just a bloke in the middle.
I think there's a term for that. It's called imposter syndrome.
Well, yeah, that's right. That's right. Well,
it's a real thing, mate.
Yeah, it is.
It's a real thing.
It is.
But the beauty of it is that you're not doing it because you're trying to become a multi-millionaire from it. You're doing it because you love it.
No, that's right. That's right.
What is there a particular sort of niche within automotive that you're focused on? Is it, I mean, obviously you've had a lot of experience around four-wheel drives. I know you love your street cars.
Yep.
Is there something that you want to kind of position yourself as there?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. So for me, we talked a lot about those features and the way things are portrayed and the way they're written. So for me, you know, we had a range of FEV at the end of January, and we did a drive up to Queensland and stayed on the Goldie, but we bounced over to Stradbroke, right? So for by the same token, I had an M5 last year, which is a phenomenal vehicle. And I did a combination of twisty work, which is bloody scary in a car that big with that much horsepower, just let me tell you.
That you don't own.
That's about 270 grand and a horrendous excess as well. You know, for me, it's about how do I tap into the passion of that each vehicle creates, if that's the right way of saying it. So if it's a four-wheel drive, I'll try and take it out four-wheel driving, right? And I'm not a rock crawler, mate. For me, it's not about the challenge. It's about going to those beautiful scenic places and getting a vibe for how the car deals with my type of four-wheel driving. If it's a performance car, if I'm lucky enough, some manufacturers let me track the car and I'll take it to the track.
Mad.
If not, you know, I'm picking my favourite bunch of twisties and early one morning when there's no one else out on the road and having a bit of fun. For me, it's about harking back to the day where people were allowed, or people that were creating content were allowed to be a little bit more flamboyant in the way that they were riding and really talk to the vehicle as an enthusiast. Not that, you know, the aircon's nice and, you know, it's got, you know, 11 airbags. That's good. You can
What does
get
it
that
make
stuff.
you feel?
What does it make you feel, right? And that's, you know, I'm in an A3 at the moment. There's nothing exciting about a base model A3, but, you know, and in those sorts of cases, you fall back on utility a little bit, but you're still driving a car. So where does the passion come from in that sort of car? So, yeah, look, my view is I like to write or create content through an enthusiast lens. And there are people out there that do that. But for me, that's what it's about. It's not about rattling off specs. Anyone can do that.
Yeah.
For me...
Go to the manufacturer's website, read it off there.
Exactly right. So for me, it's about what did that car make me feel? And the only way to do that is to use it for its purpose as best as you can.
I think that's so relevant. I can really relate to this right now because my 80 series is off the road at the moment. It's getting a bit of love. And on the weekend, I just went down the south coast with my family.
Yep.
So we took my wife's car, which is a 2025 RAV4 hybrid.
Yep.
It is a phenomenal car. It makes me feel nothing.
Yep.
Nothing at all. I don't care about it. Now, I don't mean it in that way.
Yeah.
I never go, I can't wait to drive that car again, right? It's reliable, it's quiet, it's safe, it's all of the things that are great for a family car, and it's a phenomenal car. But I just don't care about it because it doesn't make me feel anything.
Yep.
It's too quiet. It doesn't make stupid noises. It doesn't rattle. It's not likely to kill me at any point.
Yep.
I love old 90s four-wheel drives that are buckets of bolts, but I feel something every time I drive them. You know when you get in an old car and they all smell the same?
The old car smell.
I don't know what the smell is. It's probably like mold or something. But, you know, as soon as I open the door of an old vehicle, I'm talking 70s and before, that smell, you're like, oh, okay, this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
Even if it's slow and unreliable and
point.
doesn't turn, it makes you feel something, right?
Let me challenge you there. So our family car is quite old. So it's a 2011 Lexus RX 350, and I'll challenge that notion. Now, there's nothing exciting about this car. So we've had it since new. The only thing we've had to replace is a fan belt, and it really didn't need to be replaced. I'm just OCD and it started to make a squeaking noise. So for me, when I drive that car, yes, it's totally reliable. It's never caused us issues. But I find myself romanticising the fact that, man, I can get in this car and drive for 10 hours and it'll take my family there in safety and comfort, and I'll get back in complete safety and comfort, you know. It's odd because there's nothing exciting about it, but there's still, if we look back, think about the very first car, right? So you've come off a horse, right? And you're getting in this car, and it's just this amazing experience where, hang on, I don't need to, the horse doesn't need to stop and do a shit, or
It can just keep going.
It can just keep going. So there's that romanticism about motoring that's always in the back of my mind as well, and I wonder what it would have been like back then.
Very strange.
Yeah.
Very strange.
And I reckon we're kind of at the same sort of cusp at the moment, I reckon, with electric cars. And I'm not a proponent. I reckon hybrid is the future in every sense. So in terms of normal commuting, performance commuting, that M5 was a hybrid.
Was
and
it?
That M5 changed me, hey, totally.
So what's that, like a V10?
V8 twin turbo 5 litre with electric motor support, 1,000 newtons. I think it was, oh Jesus, test my memory here. I reckon I've got early dementia. I think it was somewhere 700 odd horse combined.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Four-wheel drive,
that's a lot of
switchable to
car.
rear. Lot of car, man. And you know what? At the end of the week that I had with it, the overall fuel consumption, what do you reckon it was per 100?
I don't know, 10? Half that?
5.4.
Yeah, wow.
And
so that's the same as our RAV4.
No, that's right. And that's,
and our
that's-
RAV4
yeah,
does not
yeah.
make 700 horsepower.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. And I probably, if I did 1,000 k's and I didn't, just for argument's sake, probably about 250 of that was fun driving.
Yep.
So it wasn't. You're getting into it when you're having fun. Within your realm. So I truly believe that hybrids are the future, particularly in the performance sense. If a manufacturer were to grab that by the neck and say, I'm going to make fun cars that are hybrids, I reckon they'll do really, really well. But going back to my point, I reckon we're at that cusp now where we're moving from vehicles that are designed arguably to excite, and I think internal combustion, if you're the type that likes the sound and the feel and the power delivery of that, you're going to lose all of that because an EV has none of that, right? And everyone's getting excited about self-driving. I mean,
It's like my worst nightmare. I love driving.
yeah. So
I would choose to drive.
So we're at that funny cusp at the moment, as I see it.
Yeah, the electric thing, I'm so confused by it, and I ask many of my guests, anyone like you that's involved in the car industry, I love talking about this stuff because I don't have an opinion either way. I don't think electric cars are inherently good or bad. I don't really care. 2018, I got off a plane in Amsterdam, and randomly, all the taxis there were Teslas. And I discovered why. It was because the government pays a subsidy if you get a Tesla to use as a taxi over there, right?
Okay.
And if you want to drive into the centre of Amsterdam, it has to be an electric vehicle. Now, I don't know if that's changed. This is 8 years ago. Yeah. But I got in this Tesla and it was, I don't even know the model. It was like a coupe thing, big. I got in this car with this friendly Dutch guy and he hammered it up this on-ramp and I just went, oh my God. And it was weird because instant power delivery, no noise. Yep. And I remember looking over at the speedo and going, oh my God, we're doing 150. How did we get here? It melted my brain because it was the opposite to everything that I'd ever known. I've driven turbo cars for the last 20 years. So it's lag, that big kick in the back when it comes in, all the noise, all the carry on. And this was none of those things, but it was fast. And I, from that moment went, I could get around this. I like going fast.
Yeah, you know what I've found? It's a buzz when you do it once.
Yeah.
But you get used to it real quick.
Yeah, okay.
You get used to it real quick. I think the fastest EV that I've driven to date, I think it was the MG X-Power, which is like it's a little hatchback. And that was 0 to 100 in 3.4 from memory. And it's a mad laugh when you first pin it. It's a mad laugh, but it almost becomes, it's going to sound stupid, it becomes boring once you've done it once. Because you when you have a car that's capable of, sprinting to 100 like that, but it has all of the noise and you need to drive it if it's a stick shift. And like you said, if it's a turbo, you're waiting for boost to come on. If it's not a turbo, you're revving it out and waiting for red line so you can get to the next gear. You miss all of that. So you have to work to get to that number, depending on the car, of course. But yeah, it's just in an EV, you're just doing it, and it's just like that.
And it's not that visceral experience of a combustion engine, right?
The only thing is, it's pinning you.
Yeah.
And even that, you know, it's just me. I'm sure there's others that are different. But for me, you do it once, you do it twice, you have a mad giggle. But after that, it's like, yeah, okay. Yeah. It's weird. It's odd.
I definitely see I agree with you. I think hybrid is probably the way it's going to go. And just, I'm not a car expert. My audience remind me of that all the time. But from what I can see, a lot of the manufacturers that really heavily invested into electric are sort of starting to pivot into hybrid. I know Toyota's talking a lot about hydrogen and those sorts of sort of differences. I guess the reality of it, though, is that in Australia in particular, we need the infrastructure to support electric charging.
That's right, yeah. And that's a problem. You know, I charge at home because every time I've tried to charge out on the fly, you know, without a doubt, and the reality is I haven't tested many EVs because I don't seek them out. There's always something wrong with the charger. So for people that own them, and I know I've got people in my family that own EVs, and you know, they charge at home. And they make it work, but I just,
For like a city runaround car, if you live in the inner west or whatever and you just, all short trips, I see the potential.
Yep.
I've shared an anecdote on this show previously. I got to the end of the M1 driving home one afternoon, ran out of diesel, well, didn't run out of diesel, but needed to fill up. I pulled in, put 145 litres into my 80 series, and when I arrived, there was like a Volvo EV thing charging in the servo. I rocked up. I sat there, I put 145 litres of diesel in, which takes a while. Went in, paid, got back in the car. Dude's still sitting there, he's just on his phone. And I thought, man, if I wanted to get home from work and I'm sitting in a servo charging my car, that's not an option for me.
No, it's a use case thing. And look, reflecting on all of this stuff in the 4B world, you know, do you reckon it'll ever have a place there?
I think hybrid, definitely. Electric assist, I feel is pretty exciting. The instant torque delivery, being able to control torque delivery in different ways, I think is exciting. Do I think that an EV or a hybrid is going to be the first vehicle of choice for a Simpson Desert crossing anytime soon?
No, and that's where it's different. You know, I was just trying to remember what I've driven. So I drove the Shark, but unfortunately it was a terrible week and I couldn't take that one off road. But you know, people like Matt have worked with that. I think the problem with battery and electric in that space is your weight. And weight's such a big problem.
It's the enemy.
Well, you call it a problem or you call it a hindrance. You know, we're all carrying a lot of weight around when we're touring. So, you know, in order to make that work without affecting payload dramatically is where the challenge will lie, I reckon. So,
well, it's even a balance at the moment, right? You can put the biggest diesel tanks you want in your vehicle, but it gets to a point where it's the law of diminishing returns.
That's exactly right.
You're carrying 400 litres of diesel. So your range is good, but you've got 400 litres of diesel on board. Yeah,
it'd be interesting. I know that the Denza has been released this week, so I've been watching a bunch of journos at the launch, so it'd be interesting to see what that all looks like. That's the luxury of BYD, don't quote me, but they've got a big SUV type. I'd say it's probably a 300 comparison in terms of size and that, so it'd be interesting to see what that does. We only get a very proportion of the tech that's available in China. This is the other thing. So we're only seeing a very small portion of the capability and technology and what's available there as well.
Yeah, I went to Thailand at the start of last year just on a family holiday, and even Thailand blew me away with the variety and all these brands of electric car, and I mean they're all Chinese from what I could ascertain. I'd never heard of half of them. And the one thing that really struck me was the prevalence of BYD over there. It was insane. There was a juggernaut. So many of them. And then fast forward a bit over 12 months here, there's a lot of BYDs on the road. There's a lot of them. You might know a little bit more detail about this, but someone recently was telling me about a Chinese vehicle manufacturer, an EV manufacturer, and they've got a battery changeover system. So rather than like a servo or going to charge it, you rock up and you pull a battery out and put a new battery in and bugger off again.
I did see something of that nature. I didn't really dive into it, but you know what? Imagine that, right? It's conceptually the same as filling fuel.
Yeah, so that works. Again, though, in Australia,
Infrastructure.
the infrastructure's the killer here, right? Because
yeah.
we're such a big, spread out country.
Yeah.
I think it's fascinating, and I think you are right. We're at a pivotal moment in terms of automotive. It's not history yet, but it'll become history. But of the change in automotive. I know, I mean, Formula One have got Formula E, that's been going for a few years. I don't know if anyone has ever watched it. No, I don't.
No, I don't.
But, you know, you look at even that, Formula One, think about the changes when they made all the cars quieter and then everyone complained because they weren't noisy enough. And then they tried the E thing. And I don't know, is electric vehicle motorsport going to be a thing?
No, look, I don't know. I don't know. Like you said, who's watched that and why? Personal opinion, if it doesn't make noise, it's not motorsport. You know, I'm pretty simple-minded when it comes to things like that. So, you know, yes, apparently this year they are a little bit noisier by virtue of whatever they've done with their engine architecture and stuff like that, and supposedly slightly different by vehicle as well, which will be interesting to see.
Yeah,
So,
right. They just like got a little stereo in there. They changed the tune. Yeah, I don't know. I think it comes back to the same thing we were talking about earlier. What does it make you feel? Nothing.
No.
Oh, well then, don't care.
That's it.
But I'll go watch 50-year-old rotaries drive down a drag strip. That makes me feel something.
Yeah, totally.
Makes my ears hurt, but I like it.
It's a good pain.
Yeah. So, mate, in club, so 4x4 wasn't something that you were really into, right? Before that, that part of your life. How did you know Pat?
So I was introduced to Pat when I entered club.
Oh, so you didn't know him prior?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, right.
I didn't.
How does a streetcar guy end up getting employee number one status at a 4x4 enthusiast insurance company?
I don't know, mate. You have to ask those boys. But look, I think a car person is a car person. Right? So at the most fundamental level, right? Let's just stick to cars for a second. 4 wheels. If you're lucky enough, 6 sometimes. We'll stick to 4. So we've got 4 wheels. We've got a drive line. We've got a steering wheel. We've got pedals and a gear shifter, depending on what you're doing. Whether you're in that or you're in that, you're still a driver, and fundamentally you're piloting something that has all of those key pieces. I reckon that at that most fundamental level, if you're a car person, you can move into, you know, various parts in the scene because it is fundamentally the same. You know, whether, you know, having a 4-wheel driver in that role was important or not, obviously it wasn't at the time, and I'm very thankful for that. But I think that there's a level of commonality between all of the different cohorts in the motoring world that probably isn't exploited really well at the moment. But yeah, look, going back to your question, mate, deep knowledge of insurance, had worked with or alongside businesses like Shannon's in the past. And yeah, knowing that motoring side and what makes car people tick, I think probably was one of the factors. Yeah.
Very good. Did you grow to love 4-wheel drives?
Absolutely.
Because of
No
that
doubt.
exposure?
No doubt, man. No doubt. Look, it was the only, I've motorcycled, I've raced on tracks, I've drag raced, I've been an idiot on the street more than once. 4-wheel driving was really the only type of motoring enthusiasm that I hadn't sort of dived into. And that was part of the reason why I was so excited to do it.
Something different.
So it was a chance to learn and sort of get into that. So absolutely fell in love with it, mate, and was very, very fortunate to explore some amazing parts of Australia that there's no way in the world I would have seen that.
Well, you were in good company.
Yeah, mate.
Pat's done a bit.
Yeah,
He's been around.
And learnt a lot from him, mate. We had a lot of laughs along the way. And so really fond memories. But what a wonderful way to dive in and understand that world. And I've met a stack of amazing people along the way too, man. So when I left that business, I was like, well, I don't have a 4B. And I really wanted to take my daughters on some of those trips that we'd done. And I'd always wanted a Jeep.
Yep.
So I went ahead and bought this Jeep, which, look, I really enjoyed it. And we did a fair few of those trips with the girls, which is really cool.
Good.
But all of the rumours and the I'll call it shit talking that people do about Jeeps actually came true for me.
Oh,
too.
don't say that. You've shattered my hopes and dreams, because I'm like you. I've always wanted one.
Yep.
And I told my missus a few years ago that I was going to buy one, and she sprayed me and said, "Don't you dare buy one of them. They're horrible. They're unreliable." And now my missus is used to me making dumb decisions in relation to cars, but this one she put her foot down. She didn't want a Jeep.
Yeah.
So you had trouble with it?
Yeah. So one of the trips I did early on in the piece with club was up Pinnabar.
Yep.
So took the girls down there, and we'd just done the crossing through the river and came out and sort of let the car cool down and that sort of thing, and then turned it back on, and I noticed this tick in the engine. So I've popped the bonnet. I'm looking underneath, and it seems like it's coming from the top end. I've checked the oil; it's full of oil, so it's not like it's running low on oil or anything like that. Anyway, we continued the trip and really enjoyed it, and came back and I called a mate and I said, "Mate, I've got this tick in the top end. Any ideas as a Jeep specialist?" And he goes, he gave me a couple of pointers and he said, "Look, it all seems to be okay." He goes, "Bring it past when you're back in Sydney." So I took it through to him and he looked at it and goes, "Oh, this has got to go to Jeep, mate." And he went to Jeep and it sat at Jeep for 3 months.
Oh no.
Complete long motor replacement. And they couldn't tell me what it was.
I think just a minor issue.
Yeah, minor issues. So, needless to say, I got rid of it not long after that. But
it's such a shame.
Yeah.
It's such a shame. They're such cool cars.
Oh.
I was lucky enough last year to drive a couple of them without owning them. So that's a really cool way. Both Gladiators. Yep. One of which belonged to Justin Montesalvo and has a blown 6.4 Hemi in it, and it's on 40s and Dana diffs. So I had that as a hire car for a week last year.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Nuts.
Now, it's also for sale at the moment. So if you want to buy it, hit Justin up. But not a factory Jeep by any means, but an incredible car. And I mean, you want to talk about feeling something. When a car lights up a set of 40s at like 100 k's an hour, you feel something.
That's nuts.
But then, only a few months ago, we've got a lot of birds joining us for this discussion. Only a few months ago, Peter at Tyre Gear lent me his Gladiator, and it's quite heavily modified, but it's not a blown 6.4 on 40s. Man, awesome car, and that just had the standard petrol motor in it, and like got along all right. Great. It looked cool.
Yeah.
It feels cool.
Yeah, it did everything.
The reliability factor is the problem, right? Because out of the box. Now, I'm sure there are going to be heaps of people that disagree with me here, but out of the box, I can't think of a more capable four-wheel drive than a Wrangler.
Yeah, look, mate, you shouldn't have a failure like that at 11,000 Ks, which is what mine was.
I saw it was a new one.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
Yeah, mate, it was a
I
year
just
old.
assumed
It was a year old when I got it. And it was very well maintained. The bloke I bought it off was a cool cat and an enthusiast. But on capability, so going up Pinnabar, and I'm not, like I said before, I'm not the rock crawler. I'm not the one that's going into obstacles. But there was a section of track, and I walked it, and it was yay deep, crossed up, big centre. And I sort of looked at it, and I'm with my daughters, and I'm on my own, right? So it's got
not
a
out
winch.
to prove anything.
Not out to prove anything. It's got a winch if I need to, and I scoped out for spots where I could pull myself out if I needed to, and it was all okay. And mate, it walked it, dude. It walked it, and I was like, man, how? It just
They're an incredible thing.
Walked it, mate. Disconnected the sway bars, locked everything up, and it just phenomenal.
I mean, how good's that though? A car with factory sway bar disconnects.
Crazy, just nuts. So you know what? And it's a trip none of us will forget. Well, firstly, because of where we ended up. It's the highest point you can drive to in Australia on dirt. the memories that I had of the last trip, but then also that section, because they've got this funny knack, they can tell what Dad's feeling, right? And I was trying to stay cool and calm, and I was like, well, do I turn around? And I go, anyway, I went through it, and they were cheering, and mate, it's just one of those magic memories. And that's the beauty of four-wheel driving, that you can actually take your loved ones with you on that experience, whereas, you know, I'm sure they'd love to, but you know, going out on the track, I don't want anyone in the car with me, because it's a hindrance, and depending on how hard you're pushing it, it's it's dangerous as well. So that's probably what I love most about four-wheel driving. It's being out in the bush, because that's a thing for me, but also taking people that you love along on the journey. So,
man, you know, you think about, what does a car make you feel? Well, in the case of a four-wheel drive, it might make you feel something, but what does it allow you to feel as well? The places that it can get you.
It's not just the driving, it's the destination.
100%.
Because when you do, and I'll just reflect on Pinabar again, you know, getting that final drive up to the top, it was like this feeling of elation amongst all of us. And you don't get that in a street car, because you're going somewhere, you're going to that destination, and you get that first vista. And it's like, man, this is nuts. What am I doing here on a Tuesday or whatever it was? It was crazy. So you're right.
Something that I feel, obviously not everybody is interested in it. A lot of people don't like going into the bush or going into remote areas, but I feel like those people, I feel sorry for them. They're missing out on this whole other aspect of life. And for me, obviously being as deeply involved as I am, I can't think of anything I would rather do than throw my family in the car and just bugger off somewhere we've never been before.
Yep.
Just see where we end up.
Totally, man. Totally. And look, the ability to leave the tar and hit the dirt, it's amazing what you can experience in that sense. But you're right, people don't like to do it, but I think a lot of it is a case of you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I would caution against that. Anyone that actually went out to some of these places we're lucky to get to would say, wow, that's really cool.
And I think also to see what the vehicles are capable of. I've taken so many people four-wheel driving for the first time, and the response is always the same, like, you're not going to drive up that way. Probably, yeah. And then you drive up it and they go, oh my God, I didn't know a car could do that.
Yeah.
So there's that element of it as well, but it's an enabler, right?
Totally.
It's an enabler. And I think one of the reasons why four-wheel drives have become so popular is because you can do it with your family. I know if I said to my wife this afternoon, we're going to buy a 7-second drag car, she'd be like, you're an idiot. And no. But if I say to her, for example, I'm going to spend heaps of money on camping gear, she'll support it.
Yeah.
Because it's something we can do together and we can share those memories. And I think it's such a beautiful thing that you're able to do. And we're so lucky here that we've got so many opportunities to do it.
Oh, definitely, mate. Look, in this day and age where, you know, kids are on technology and swiping and that, it's just such a beautiful way to get them away from that. And you're right, we are so fortunate in this country. There is so much to see here. You know, so
more than you could see in a lifetime.
Absolutely, no doubt. So yeah, we're very lucky and fortunate to be able to do it. And you need a 4B to do, mate. You're making me miss my Jeep.
Yeah, well, that's the intention, is that by the end of this discussion that you
need a
go
4B.
onto Facebook Marketplace and buy some old four-wheel drive that you don't need.
Yes, add it to the list.
Oh, mate, tell me about it. So, Kal, recently, my concept of time is flawed, but we spoke a little bit about some of the stuff that's been going on in relation to vehicle modifications, public land access, topics that all of my audience are very familiar with. And I noticed that you've been putting a bit out there on your own socials. What's your sort of position on it? Where do you think that intersection is between the vehicle community in terms of enthusiasts?
Yeah, look, I'm just amazed at why there isn't more of a connect between all of the different cohorts. And I touched on it earlier on. You know, you asked me, you know, how did I get involved in club if I didn't know four-wheel drives? And my answer was, it's still a car.
Yes.
And at the most fundamental level, that's what frustrates me. Now, there's been various reports and things put out about how big this industry is worth. We know that there's going to be hundreds and thousands of people who are car enthusiasts, whether it's a four-wheel drive, whether it's a sports car, whatever it is. You know, what really frustrates me is that we've got this amazing innate ability to pull people together and have a voice that I believe can't be ignored. And yet, you know, we think about, you know, the Great Koala Park and all that sort of thing that's, you know, still rolling around, and there's challenges, there's never-ending challenges in the 4B space. There's always challenges in the performance space. Why is it that we're unable to come together, right? And there are structures, you know, there's various club associations, there's clubs, you know, there's governing bodies, there's all these people, and they all do great work, right? So this is not, you know, discrediting anyone by any way, shape or form. But we've got a huge cohort of Australians in this country that love cars. How do we bring everyone together where, you know, there's that commonality that comes from a love of the vehicle and what that vehicle allows you to do, regardless of what that looks like. So why is it that we didn't have one body or group or whatever you want to call it that could say, guys, we need your signatures because of this this issue on the mid-north coast of New South Wales.
Yep.
Here's a petition, sign it. And in the ideal world, you're getting hundreds of thousands of signatures, right?
Yes.
So for me, at the most fundamental level, it's having a foot in the 4B camp, having a foot in the performance car camp. You know, why are we separate, guys? Why are we separate? And you know, I know why, because it's always been that way.
Yeah.
And you want to hang around 4B drivers, and you want to hang around people that drive Japanese cars or Aussie muscle, whatever it is. We're so much more powerful together.
Yeah, and this is the frustrating part, because surely there's lots of people like you and I that just love all cars, right? I don't know, maybe it's just a basic human trait of, oh, well, I'm not interested in that, so I don't care. But I think people maybe need to broaden their perspective on these things and understand exactly as you described that if it's not street cars getting picked on, it's four-wheel drives. And if it's not four-wheel drives, it'll be muscle cars. And I can tell you now, I've had a variety of different vehicles, and I've had issues with the police with all of them.
Yep.
So it's not like they only pick on four-wheel drives and they leave the street car guys alone. The street car scene is nothing of what it was in the late 90s.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even before that.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
Because it became too hard. And I think we've got to maybe just take a step back, all of us, and go, even though I don't participate in that, I need to appreciate it and respect it and try and find that common ground.
I think it's community, man, at the most simple level. If part of the community is struggling with something, why can't you lend a hand there?
Get amongst it, help them.
Yeah, that's right. And look, this is not, it's simple, man. It's just about numbers. It's a numbers game as I see it. So how can we mobilise numbers that can't be ignored at the most fundamental level for me? You know, you did that petition, and I reckon, you know, getting, you know, what was it, 27,000 signatures on that, mate, that's phenomenal, man. That's phenomenal, but it's also still a small part of a much bigger.
It's not enough.
It's
not enough.
You know, so it's not enough only because there's so many more, mate.
Yeah.
Only because there's so many more. Why wouldn't you put your signature on that?
Yeah,
You know?
and this is the frustrating part, I suppose, with all this stuff, is that, and I've had conversations with people online where they've messaged me and said, oh, why aren't people signing the petition? And I'm like, well, that's $1 million question. Please tell me why. It's pretty easy to do. But what I continually remind people is, if you're a four-wheel drive head and you just love 4Bs and that's your whole existence, you think that everybody is like you. It's a natural human trait. If you're interested in cars, you're like, oh, surely everyone likes cars. You know, they want to feel something. The vast majority of the population don't give a shit. A car is a tool to get them from A to B. And I say to these guys, look up your street. How many modified four-wheel drives do you see? Oh, I'm the only one with a GQ Patrol on 35s. Funny that. So if you are one of those enthusiasts, you absolutely have to do something. You have to be active.
Yeah.
Because there's a hell of a lot more people that don't give a shit about any of this. Now, For me, I think that I should be allowed to put 35-inch tyres on a car if I choose. No one else in my street gives a shit.
Yeah.
They don't even know what a 35-inch tyre is. They're like, what? How much do they cost? Why do you need such big tyres?
Yeah.
And I think this is the bit that we've got to try and unlock is how do we just get the enthusiasts to see eye to eye, not even see eye to eye, but just have an appreciation for what we're all trying to do. And I think that's the first step that we've got to take.
Yeah, mate, couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And there's a lot of us out there, mate.
There's heaps.
There's a lot of us out there. And I think, taking an apathetic view towards these sorts of challenges is what the people that are against us want.
Well, then it's easy, because then it's the death by 1,000 cuts thing, right?
It's just a pushover.
Oh, we'll just take a little bit here and a little bit there, and these guys won't care if we do something to that group, and
it just becomes a pushover. And the reality is, we all work, we all contribute tax, we all contribute to society. Why would we be treated as second-rate citizens? Some idiot goes into an industrial area and rips it up, and the likes of A Current Affair and all the generalist news mobs are frothing over it. And then you've got 10,000 comments under the Facebook post from people that are also frothing and waiting to lay in. Well, that doesn't represent our scene. In the same way that someone ripping up a grass car park in a national park doesn't represent the scene. So why are we allowing that to be at the forefront when there's so many more of us who could be portraying a different message? And that's what I mean when I say strength in numbers, where you need to be able to stand up to oppose that. And the only way to do it, from my perspective, is using your numbers. And there's so many of us.
Get people active.
Yeah.
Get people thinking about it, caring about it, sharing stuff, signing petitions, paying a little bit of attention to what's going on, because otherwise my fear is that we'll lose all of it.
Well, mate, it's no doubt.
This is a very, very dramatic statement, but it's not a world that I want to live in where we can't have cool things.
No.
I like modified cars.
Yep.
I like things that are noisy and stupid and unreliable.
Yep.
I want to keep doing that. I want my daughter to be able to
Absolutely
have my Land Cruiser and go, well, I'm not selling it, so, I want her to be able to take that vehicle and go and have fun in it.
Yeah, totally.
And the rate it's going at the moment, I fear that maybe that's not going to be a reality.
We just all need to be able to lean in and support each other, as I see it. And it's very, very important, mate, because you're right. Like I said, the more of an apathetic view you take to this stuff, they'll keep encroaching.
Well, Kal, it's been really good to sit down and have a chat with you, man. I love hearing different perspectives on this stuff. And I know for a lot of you guys listening out there, this is very heavily, four-wheel drive, and a lot of you are four-wheel drive heads, but I think that's the point of having someone like Kal on here, is that for me, I'm really interested to hear from people across the spectrum of motoring enthusiasts, I guess you call it. Because, I think that the more that we can come together, the better it'll be for all of us.
Absolutely, mate. I'll come back on when I have a 4B again.
Yeah, when you buy another Jeep.
Yeah, got to harden up a bit, eh?
Maybe. Oh, I'm not going to say that. I've beaten up Ford Rangers enough lately, and the irony of everyone thinking that I'm a massive Ford Ranger hater is that there's one just out of shot that I drove here today. So come at me all you like, but I'm one of you guys. Kal,
totally.
Thanks
Good
very
on you,
much,
man.
mate.
Thank you so
really
much.
Appreciate
really
it, bro.
appreciate it. Good on you.
And we'll see all of you next time on the outer side.